Wiring in electricity can be a troublesome affair for new players. It's easy to get lost in what all the components do, and certainly a lot of the important information can only be found by trial and error because the game doesn't really tell you. So I've compiled everything you should need to know to be able to start wiring up your bases with everything from lights to doors to traps. So if you're lost when it comes to electricity and traps in this game, stay tuned and we'll fix that. Starting with the wiring tool. To wire anything together, you will of course need a wire tool. You don't need anything special to unlock them, just craft one or loot it from a toolbox or hardware store. Once you have one, right click on the power source and then right click whatever you want to power. Pretty simple. You're only allowed one input wire per component, but you do get 9 output wires. So there's no putting 2 power sources into one block, and that is a big limitation in 7 Days to Die you're gonna have to learn to work around. The official wiring distance is 10 blocks, but here's the illegal technique all of us quote-unquote pros are using. You have 5 blocks of interaction range in 7 Days to Die, so if you select your source, walk to just before that wire turns red and lean over and then connect it to a block. With that, you can have components that are 15 blocks apart. These wires phase through all blocks and can't be damaged unless the component itself is destroyed. Wiring sorted, let's talk about actually making power. In 7 Days to Die, you have 3 power sources: generators, battery banks, and solar banks. Generators are crafted at the workbench with these components and are unlocked at electrician level 25. I should say, by the way, that every electrical component in this video can be crafted cheaper using the advanced engineering perk, with rank 5 giving you 35% cheaper electrical items. These banks take up 1 block and they can be filled with up to 6 engines. Each engine provides 50 watts of maximum power output to a maximum of 300. To generate power though, you will need to fill it up with up to 1000 units of gasoline and then press the turn on button. The more power draw the generator bank has, the faster the gas will deplete, meaning you have to refill it more. Generator banks are by far the easiest and most accessible power source because they are available early, cheap to craft, easy to fill out once you have a wrench, and gas is also fairly plentiful once you have a wrench and or a chemistry station. The battery bank, however, is unlocked at level 55 electrician using the components on screen, and it is powered by car batteries. These also have a maximum power output of 300 watts total as well, but getting 6 level 6 batteries is a much bigger pain than getting 6 engines. Batteries will slowly use durability as power is drawn from them. You can see this going down on the bar or on the cost of the battery itself. In order to recharge them, you need to hook the battery bank up to another power source like the generator bank, turn on the power source and let the batteries charge. Now this is mostly not that useful to use in conjunction with the generator because you still need to use gas to charge them anyway, but it can be a little bit more useful with the third power generation method, solar banks. However, solar banks are an elaborate scam created by Trader Rect to fuck you over. These cost 5,000 dukes to buy and currently, at least, cannot be crafted, and then you need solar cells to power it. Solar cells can only be purchased from traders, and the basic ones are nearly useless in their power generation output. To get level 6 solar cells, you need to spend an unbelievable amount of dukes. Even with maxed out discounts, it's still tens of thousands of dukes. If you do spend the hundreds of thousands of dukes to get 6 solar cells, you'll be granted with the maximum output of 180 watts, just over half what the gas generators can do. Now the benefit, of course, is that solar is effectively infinite, at least during the day, and can be used to charge the battery banks, which will run your power at night. But you do have to watch out for a, I'm assuming, mechanic and not bug. Call this mechanic power transference. If you wire up, say, 300 watts of stuff to your maxed out level 6 battery bank, and then wire your solar bank to the battery bank and turn both on, the power draw, even when the batteries are fully charged during the day at least, will transfer over to the solar bank, meaning just under half of the things connected to the battery bank will actually shut down even though the battery bank is providing enough power. This is because the solar array can only handle 180 watts of power, and the load is transferred to the what would be the first power generation block in a chain. As a result, my suggestion is to just use a generator bank connected to a battery bank. Match their output, and when the generator runs out of gas, the batteries will provide stored backup power until you can refill the generator with gas. It has less of the bugginess and unreliability of the solar bank, which will actually cause your base to partially shut down during the day because of that power transference. So with power generation sorted, let's get your basic utilities set up. There are 5 powered lights. I'll be quick because honestly, most of them aren't worth your time. The one that actually matters is the spotlight. It throws light onto an area from a distance, which means during a horde night, when every other light source is getting blown up by cops, shot out by you accidentally, or just generally destroyed in the chaos, the spotlight will survive because it can project light from a distance. It's unlocked at 45 electrician. The other 4, basic, fluorescent, industrial, and industrial bulb, are all unlocked at 25. They illuminate things. That's all they do. I'd recommend skipping them. Instead, make the unpowered lantern block. No power, no heat, and you can pick it up instantly if you need to move it. The only big issue is the duct tape that it costs, and if you're at the stage of the game where lighting is your biggest problem, you've probably got the duct tape for it. Power draw on lights runs from 5 watts to 10 watts, most of which sitting at 5, but for some reason the fluorescent light costs 10 for no reason I've ever been able to identify. Moving on to doors. There are several variants of powered doors in 7 Days to Die, from the 1x1 steel powered hatch to the powered door, up to the varying sizes of garage doors and then the drawbridge. All of these take level 55 electrician skill to unlock and take 5 power to power. When powered, the doors open. These are fairly self-explanatory, but there are a few useful techniques you should know about. First, two-way doors. If you want a door to open from either side, you need to use trigger plates or motion sensors on both sides of the doors. Connect one of these triggers to a power source, and then connect that trigger to the second trigger, and then connect that trigger to the door. This will activate the door from either side when you activate one of the trigger plates. From what I can tell, it's actually a bug. The power should be sent to the second trigger, but the second trigger shouldn't be activated because it isn't being stood on, so it shouldn't allow power to pass through, but for some reason it treats it as if both triggers are activated by you stepping on one pressure plate. Perhaps this is an odd intended feature or just a very helpful bug. Either way, I hope they don't patch it. The other way you'll probably want to use doors is with the motion sensor trigger. This can be set to target you, allies, strangers, and zombies. If you set it to target you, it will activate when it sees you, and you can configure how long it will activate for by pressing E on it and adjusting these settings. With this, you can set a door to open, allowing you to have a convenient vehicle accessible door that opens and shuts behind you but doesn't let zombies in or anything else unless they're really close to you when you're in your vehicle, saving you from hopping in and out of your vehicle several times just to get in and out of your base. We mentioned several trigger blocks there, so let's just cover the rest. You have the switch. The switch is a simple wire relay with an on-off toggle. It doesn't work for two-way doors because you have to turn them both on to open the door, because they seem to be working correctly. Otherwise though, it's very convenient as a means of organizing various parts of your base wiring systems together to allow you to turn off certain things. The trigger plates are another trigger. Yes, well named. These blocks will activate when something moves over them, including players, zombies, animals, and vehicles. Just like the motion sensor, you can configure how long the pulse of power lasts and how long it takes to activate the power, useful for very specific trap systems. The trigger plate comes in 1x1 and 1x5 variants, and the 1x5 is actually more efficient to craft than 5 1x1s and uses the same power draw as one 1x1, meaning it is much more efficient to use these bigger ones if you plan on powering several blocks in a row with pressure plates, assuming you do want them to all be activated at once. The tripwire is a similar block that requires 2 of itself to function. You place one, you place another one as far apart as you like, as long as you can reach it with one wire, and then connect them to configure the tripwire. Select the wire receiving this purple current, and that one will govern how the wire outputs power things. These are a great low-cost alternative to trigger plates and gel well with things like dart traps that we'll cover later. And the last section of utility blocks is just some miscellaneous other blocks that may be of use to you. The wire relay is unlocked at 25 electrician and is used to extend wires or allow more connections. You can only connect 9 things to a relay, so without these you could only connect 9 things to your generator. If you added 9 relays to your generator, then you can now connect 81 things to that generator. Now each Each wire relay takes 1 power, so at a certain point you are just having a mental health episode when you're doing this, so try to minimize the amount of relays you use. There is also a timer relay which automatically locks and allows power between certain hours of the day, so if you want your lights to come on at night for example, you can connect them to this, or if you want to connect a speaker at precisely 4 AM for 1 hour, you can do that too. The speaker is the last utility block, and despite the name, the thing has no utility at all. It makes a noise when powered. The noise doesn't even attract zombies, so it's just a noisemaker for the player. So the final category approaches, the juiciest and most delectable of all. Just before we jump into it though, if you're enjoying this or learning anything new, I'd really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. We're aiming for 100k by the end of the year. It's ambitious, but you guys have been killing it with the progress so far. So, traps. Traps are basically anything you use to damage enemies that receive power. First, we have blade traps. Blade traps are unlocked at level 25 of the trap skill and take forged iron, steel, mechanical parts, electrical parts, and oil to craft. They take 20 watts of power to run, and when activated, anything that comes into their 3x3x1 hitbox will take damage every time a blade connects with the zombie. Now this is important. Some traps are affected by difficulty, and some just aren't, so I'll clarify several things about each of them as we go. Blade traps are affected by difficulty. On Nomad difficulty, where damage is unmodified, blade traps do 20 damage per hit, all the way through to insane difficulty, where damage is reduced to 50%, meaning 10 damage per hit for the blade trap. But this trap is capable of doing headshot damage and can even cause dismemberments, which can allow for instant kills if you aim at the zombie's head. So for this reason, you should generally try and place these so that they line up with most zombies' head levels. Additionally, the blade trap currently does not activate demolition zombie buttons, as you can see by me blending this very willing participant very nicely. The blade trap takes 4 durability per damage tick dealt and will stop at 25% of its total 2000 health pool. Try and stop it from destroying itself on the zombies. If you repair them, they are much cheaper than crafting a new one. However, cop pops and random zombie hits will often result in the blade traps dying anyway. You're looking at something like 375 hits per operational lifespan of 1500 durability, coming in at about 3750 damage on insane, or twice that on nomad, or indeed if they're all headshots. Trouble being, zombies are different heights, so you may need to get creative with your path and blade trap height to be able to hit all the zombies in the head. Some people use this strategy of side mounted blade traps, and other people use this strategy of blade traps aligned with your path from above. I personally prefer the second one, but it does require more resources to set up. Also unlocked at 25 trap skill, we have the dart trap, which does not require steel to craft. Dart traps are loaded with iron darts, which you craft at a forge. You put them in and lock the ammo, and they will fire when powered. If your dart trap is not firing, it either has no power, no ammo, or you forgot to lock the ammo. So lock the ammo, lock the ammo. The dart trap does 45 damage per hit and currently has a range of 11 blocks. I say currently because apparently that's also a bug, and they're meant to be doing 26 blocks of range. Regardless, the damage it does is not affected by difficulty, but conversely, it does not do headshot damage, nor does it do dismemberment. On the plus side, the trap doesn't take damage from firing, though it can just keep going as long as it's loaded. It can hold a maximum of 1500 darts, allowing a full load of darts to do 67,500 damage on all difficulties, assuming every dart hit and no armored zombies. For my testing, the dart trap won't activate demos, as you can see by my willing participant receiving acupuncture in the cuck shed. It's best to use dart traps at head height horizontally to the zombies, preferably flying towards them, so that when a zombie dies, it doesn't block any of the darts with its body when it falls over. On the downside again, crawlers and dogs won't be hit by these upper dart traps, but it's still worth it to ensure basically no darts are wasted. Additionally, it can be a good idea to set a dart trap to a trigger of some kind rather than just leaving it firing all night long to conserve darts, or indeed trying to constantly switch it on and off yourself. This can be best achieved by wiring a tripwire or maybe a motion sensor to your walk walkway or bridge, and having the trigger activate for a few seconds when something walks through it. That way, if one zombie comes over, the trap will at least pelt at them with a few darts instead of just one, but it also won't keep firing if nothing is happening. A good synergy with the dart trap is the ever OP electric fences. These are also unlocked at 25 traps, require 5 power each, and are wired like tripwires. The blue current indicates that the fence is powering the other. You need 2 for it to function. When a zombie runs into this wire, they will be stunned in place and take 3 damage per tick for a few seconds. It's slightly variable. This can allow you to take more time to line up your shots and massively stuns the horde's ability to reach you if you employ just a few of these on horde night. Combined with a dart trap, you can pin the zombies in place and then pelt them with darts. The damage from electric fences is not affected by difficulty, though charged zombies are more resistant to the stun, recovering faster. And the fences do not activate demolition zombies, do headshot damage, or cause any dismemberments. When the electric fence damages an enemy, the receiving fence will take durability damage, and at about 25% health, you will see the fence will slack, telling you it's no longer active and it'll stop stunning zombies. These are extremely cheap, by the way, and very cheap to repair. So if you only use one trap in this video, make it these. Now then, the turrets. The shotgun auto turret is unlocked at 50 traps and requires a pretty expensive set of items to craft. The turret takes 15 power and will automatically target whatever you set it to on this screen. The damage is dealt dependent on difficulty and ammo loaded. The damage can actually be found on the ammo types themselves, as the shotgun turret just fires these exact ammo types out. The range is also pretty terrible, with buckshot only being able to do maximum damage at 4 blocks away, just like the shotguns themselves, and completely dropping off at 10 blocks, where the turret will even stop firing at that distance. The shotgun turret does sometimes hit headshots and it will cause dismemberments. Unfortunately though, it will also activate demolition chest buttons. Also, the shotgun can now be loaded with breaching slugs and AP slugs. Loading breaching slugs would be unwise because it would be firing at your base, causing a lot of block damage, but generally AP slugs are good. They do 175 damage per shot, which is a 75% increase from the maximum damage of the buckshot ammo, and it'll go through up to 2 targets, allowing it to effectively deal 525 damage per shot across 3 zombies. Additionally, these will ignore 50% of armor and indeed can also do headshot damage and have even better range, where the damage fall off starts at 9 blocks and the turret will continue targeting up to 14 blocks. The turret can be loaded with 450 of varying shotgun ammos if you remember to lock the ammo. The other turret is the SMG auto turret. These can hold up to 900 of any 9mm ammo, and for some reason this ammo has no damage fall off, unlike the shotgun. So it does max damage at all ranges up until the block's maximum targeting range, which is 24 blocks. So 1 block to 24, you are getting 32 damage per shot on Nomad with basic ammo and a lot more with AP. This can also get headshots, dismemberments, and will activate demolition zombies. How unfortunate. Now, if the demo issue is patched at some point again for like the 5th time in this game's history, these turrets will be a great addition to your base because they can take 2 ammo types you might not be using but will inevitably find lots of, like shotgun shells and 9mm, and get some use out of them beyond melting them down or selling them. If you enjoyed this, why not check out this video where I challenge myself to build 3 bases in 1 minute, 10 minutes, and 60 minutes. Go watch it if you like good content, which of course you do if you watched all of this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.